in diastolic volume versus the in systolic volume and how to figure stroke volume, stuff like that. So again, good reference point. Figure 33.2 shows you how to listen to the heart to find the different valve activities. So we have two tools for this chapter. We've got this stethoscope, which hopefully we all know what a stethoscope looks like.
Yeah.
It's been like in the doctor kits from little kid times. Remember doctor kits back in the day?
Yep.
Saw one at the flea market. It was a doctor's kit and it came with a rifle. It's like, are you a horse doctor? What's the problem? They're just going to shoot them if they don't work? I don't know. Maybe get you to pay the bill on time. But again, if you have any doctor's kit, it always has a stethoscope in it.
That's how they make money. They shoot them and then they help them.
Oh, there you go. Generates business. Okay, note to self, don't see her. So figure 33.2, again, on the practical, I could ask you, where would I put my stethoscope if I want to listen to the mitral valve? Where would I put my stethoscope if I want to listen to the aortic semilunar valve? That kind of fun stuff. And of course, the tool would be the stethoscope. Activity 2 is palpitating pulse point. So where can you pick up somebody's pulse? Again, these would be word questions. You know, where above the belly button can I pick up somebody's pulse? Which type of pulse would get me thrown in jail? That kind of stuff. Femoral artery, you gotta ask permission for that one, right? I could ask you, where would, you know, which one of these vessels would I pick up pulse point? Where in the lower limb would I pick up pulse point? That kind of scenario. Skipping activity 3 and 4. And then activity 5 is using the sphygmometer, and we do have to call it a sphygmometer. If you put blood pressure cuff, you will get no credit, just like back in 81, hip bone, leg bone, knee bone got no credit. For adults, we use adult. So sphygmometer, so I can show you and go, what is this used for? What is this tool? That kind of stuff. And of course, what are we listening for? Figure 33.9 shows you where to put it, so you can figure out your blood pressures. And if you remember last week, somebody left their arm up here that had it in the right position. So we do have sphygmometers and stethoscopes. So if you would like to, you can listen to a buddy's pulse. You can figure out their map for them. You can listen for their heart sounds, that kind of scenario. Also with this figure, it's talking about pulse pressure and mean arterial pressure. So again, those could be on your quiz 5. We've already spent a day with pulse pressure and mean arterial pressure, so we're not doing it again because you did it last week. But this is where we're catching up to that information. Okay. That is the last of the information for this chapter. Activity 6 and beyond, we're not going to deal with.
Okay.
Then we have activity 34, which is the heart cardiovascular physiology. We're not doing that because we're not allowed to rip out a frog's heart and watch it beat. I know, this book is morbid. I would say Peter would complain about it. Peter only complains about puppies and cats. Completely skip activity 34. Activity 35, which is the lymphatic system, so that is the last of the exercises that is on the practical this Thursday. So figure 31.1 shows you the lymphatic system. So picture A gives you that just super simplified schematic of the job of the lymphatics is to return lost fluids and content back to the bloodstream.
I'm sorry, Miss Ann, which page are we on?
We are now on page 520, figure 35.1.
Okay.
So picture B shows you the drainage area. So everything below the diaphragm drains into the thoracic duct. Everything on the left side drains into the thoracic duct. Only the right side above the diaphragm will go into the right lymphatic duct. And picture C shows you that close-up of where we're dumping into. From the thoracic, we dump into the junction where the left subclavian and the left internal iliac branch, which we know all about. Maybe. And if we're on the right side, we're doing the same thing. The right lymphatic vessel drains into the junction where the right internal jugular vein and the right subclavian vein branch. So that's where we're going to return back that lost fluid, those lost cells, back into the bloodstream, and then it goes right into the circulation. Now, with this, again, there's a lot of word question stuff, because we don't have a lymphatic guy, unfortunately. So I can ask you what drains this, where would this go, that scenario, where are we jumping into? Now, one of the definitions that it should talk about, but probably doesn't, is chyle. So it's a hard CH, not chili, because chili is what you put on your hot dogs. Okay, so this is chyle. Chyle is when you look at lymph, it's going to have a lot of lipids mixed into it. So chyle is characteristic after you're eating, you're absorbing fat. So again, carbs and proteins get absorbed into the hepatic portal circulation so they can be sorted and stored so we don't have sugar highs and lows and protein highs and lows. Your lipids go into your lacteals, and from your lacteals, they will join into what's called the cisterna chyli. Again, cisterna means collection point, kind of like a cistern is where you collect water out in the wild, and chyli because the chyle is being present there. And that dumps into and kind of forms the base of the thoracic duct. So your lipids go directly into the lacteals that dump into the bloodstream. There's no filter point, there's no checkpoint like the liver. And this is again is why we have problems with blood cholesterols and triglycerides, and we have atherosclerotic problems because we don't have a filter checkpoint for the lymph to get rid of the fat or store the fat. That's why we can have fat highs and fat lows based on your diet, that kind of scenario. So all that's again figure C, and it does talk about that within the paragraph.
Bless you. Bless you.
Figure 35.2 shows you a lymphatic vessel. It's just showing you that lymph vessels also have valves because they are also low flow. They're even more low flow than the veins are. So they have to have those valves to keep it from backing up in the system. So that's what figure 35.2 is showing you, a slide with the valve in a lymphatic vessel. Even though it looks like it's eating itself, it's actually just a valve. Figure 35.3 shows you our different types of lymph organs. Now, at this point in time, I'm not going to point to lymph organs because that will involve a different model that's going to be on practical 3. So tonsils and the appendix and the spleen, all those I'm going to point to with the digestive system because they're on the digestive system model or the half a head model. So you will see these, you will be responsible for pointing to them, but on practical 3 instead of this practical. So I don't want to bring out the digestive model and go pretend you don't see the digestive system and only see this part. So we will deal with pointing to stuff on practical 3. So practical 2, it would be word questions. Which of these is a lymphatic organ? Or where would I find this lymphatic organ? Or what is the function of this lymphatic organ? So that kind of information. Figure 35.4 shows you the lymph node, and that is the final model that we have on this practical. So again, this practical has 3 models: the blood vessel comparison model, we have the dude with the arteries and the veins of the systemic circuit, and we have the lymph node model, which is right next door to the dude. It looks like a hairy meatball. Okay. So picture B is the slide. We don't care about the slide. So picture A is what we're looking at. So picture A, free edge. You do not have to know the lymphoid follicle. Where it says germinative center, those are also called nodules. So some books will say germinative center, some books will say nodules. So they are used interchangeably. So the germinative center, as the name lets you suggest, that's where your B cells go to make baby B cells. That's their germinative centers. That's also where your B cells are going to hang out to make antibodies and such. So if you are making a lot of antibodies, you've been sick, those germinative centers or those nodules might swell a little bit, will have more activity going on within them. You can cross out the subscapular, or excuse me, subcapsular sinus. And under the medulla, you can cross out the medullary cord and the medullary sinus. And you can cross out trabecula. So that's your lymph node on a stick over there. 35.5 again is the spleen. As mentioned, I can't point to these things because it's on the digestive model, but they could be word questions. What is white pulp? What is red pulp? So you'll notice there's a whole lot of word questions because there's a whole lot of dude on the practical.
And that was on the same page as the next figure.
The spleen 35.5, same page as the lymph node. I don't want to talk about it. Next page, 35.6, just shows you a picture of the tonsils. That's one of my favorite ones. Anybody ever watch Looney Tunes growing up? There was that one episode where Bugs Bunny was Hansel and Gretel and the witch that clipped their heels and ran little bobby pins. Everyone just went the whole cartoon going, Hansel? Hansel? Hansel. So anytime you hear Hansel, I have that going on in my head.
Oh my God.
So again, fluid questions with the tonsils. I will point to the 3 different types of tonsils when we get to the digestive respiratory model, but not today. And then the antibodies and all that kind of jazz, activity 3, you completely skip that. That's micro stuff, and I don't want to steal micro's thunder. They've got so little to do with literally micro. These are the lame jokes. So we're not going to worry about antibodies and I'll put it all into the word that begins with out. One word.
Oh, that one's gonna be in digest.
And on the page 527, in case you're keeping track of the happy pictures, this is one of the 3 happy pictures. Look at them all smug, like here's all my lymphatic systems. That might look familiar because it's kind of like on a whole one. Big bad hair question.
Nope.
That's the lymphatics, the pulse pressure, blood pressures, fetal circulation. Tomorrow, the lymph list will be due, okay, for a point, and we will have bonus quiz 5. Bonus quiz 5 will include the lymph node model and the dude again, because there's so much on dude, we need a second.
List. I'm gonna do that today.
Then on Wednesday, we will have quiz 5 at the beginning, covering fetal circulation, pulse pressure, blood pressure, sphygmometer, all that kind of stuff, lymphatics. And then we will go to the anatomage, where we will be looking at the blood vessels and stuff, which just reminded me I needed to show you pictures from the anatomage.
When's our pre-practical?
So we can see.
Oh, it's open.
Was it?
No, tomorrow. Wednesday.
So Wednesday, we'll be going to the anatomage lab, quality time with Victor and his parts. And then on Thursday, we will have practical 2 over blood vessels, all the kind of fun stuff here.
Blood vessels.
The pre-practical does open, like expectedly tonight at midnight, tomorrow morning at midnight.
There's always like the 20-minute thing.
2 places.
They tell us for 20 minutes.
So here
Yeah.
is our lymphatics.
Y'all should
Okay,
get
so
together.
here we can see the thoracic duct coming up here, starting with that cisterna. So everything below the diaphragm and on the left side will all drain into the lymphatic duct. And we can see the lymphatic duct dumping into that junction where the internal jugular vein and the subclavian vein split. That's where that little guy's gonna pop in. The right lymphatic duct, unfortunately, they don't point to. Apparently, they didn't think it was important enough to point to. But there's a spleen. He had a huge spleen, so big. That's not normal. He got a kid, so he was having a lot of health concerns. So it should not be the size of a freaking liver. It should be about a third of that size. In a normal person. And this is just showing you again those different parts. Here's our tonsils up here. So our lingual tonsil, our palatine tonsils, and our pharyngeal tonsil, which some people like to call adenoids. Those fingers up there. And then of course we have some different types of lymph nodes. So these are the big ones in your face. They come up a little necklace there. Lymph nodes in the axillary region, lymph nodes in the crotch region. And these are just showing those lymphatic vessels. So they're returning all that lost fluid from the venous system and the blood system back to one of these lymphatic vessels. So this essentially is just what figure 35.1 shows you. Take that haircut? Oh, they're super close up.
Let's see, hold on.
So cisterna chyli, joining into the thoracic duct, into the junction between the internal jugular and the subclavian. And there's our different tonsils, so lingual, palatine, and your adenoids or pharyngeal tonsils. And then our scattering of different lymph nodes, making kind of a necklace around this. For kids, it's amazing. I told him to eat the Monty Python, and the folders rejoice.
That's it.
Can you go back to that picture? The one that has the lit note on it?